Hello again, everyone. This is Zombie Kids Rule, and I'm back with part 5 of the tutorial for how I recreated the Eye of the Beholder character generation process in RPG Maker MZ. I strongly encourage you, if you have not already, to watch the two videos where it actually shows the functionality. It compares the Eye of the Beholder actual game with what I recreated, and then the parts 1 through 4 are important because the concepts kind of build on each other and they repeat, and I don't explain, or I'm trying not to explain, things that I've already explained in the previous parts. So we've already we've gotten up to the where we are going to show the bio screen, the biographics screen. Okay, so again, I encourage you to watch parts 1, 2, 3, and 4 so that you'll have context of where we are, and you'll see that a lot of the mechanics, a lot of the concepts, the reasoning and logic of the events, the structure of the events is being repeated. So essentially, we have a player has selected a portrait. They have selected a race, okay, a race and gender. They have selected a class, right? And I'm gonna show you one of these instead, a triple class. Then they select alignment, and the previous part I did, part 4, went over alignments. So now they select an alignment, and the next thing that happens is the next event we're going to talk about does all of this. It sets all of this up to be used. So it sets up 3 character portraits. It sets up arrows to scroll through these. It shows the race and gender that basically it's showing a variable where you stored the race and the gender. It's showing a variable that where you stored the class. It's showing the attributes that are determined, right? The attributes and the scores. And it's showing the armor class, the hit points, and then the level, right? This is a triple class character, so it's showing 3 different classes. All right. So the next event we're going to talk about starts setting this up, and then there's also it's going to call another event that rolls the attributes and determines the hit points. Okay. So that's where we are. That's what we're trying to do now. So the common event that we're talking about here is the bio screen. So in any of the alignments, when we got to the portion where it was being selected a second time, right? One of the things it does is it says call the common event bio screen to move forward in the character generation process, and then exits the event. So we are now calling the bio screen. Now, so the comment up here shows all the necessary information for the biographic screen for the selected character. It also calls the common events dice rolls and HP determination as part of the event, because that's what's going to calculate your attributes and your hit points. Okay. So first thing it does is it updates that variable that we're using for the step number, meaning the where we are in the character generation process, and we're now at step 4. So we're just making this a 4. The next thing, set portrait variables 801 to 804 to show first 3 portraits. Okay, so 801, 802, 803. So I originally was going to show 4 portraits, and then just for the available space on the screen, I decided to go down to 3 portraits because Eye of the Beholder had 4. So it's actually not 801 to 804, it's actually 801 to 803. So that's what this is doing. It's control variable 801, 802, 803, which is CC Portrait 1, CC Portrait 2, CC Portrait 3, and they are values 1, 2, and 3. You'll see why this is important later on when we get to the events for scrolling through portraits, CC Portrait right and CC Portrait left. That's where these numbers are going to become important, and you're going to see why I set them up the way I did. Okay, so just right now it's just setting a value to a variable. Okay, we've seen this before in the previous common events and the previous parts. It is erasing pictures. This time it's just 10 through 19. So remember in the previous ones I was having it erase 10 through 34. This time I'm not doing that. It's just erasing the alignment possible choices, because you can't go back from here. Once you hit the bio screen, you can't go backwards, right? You have to finish the character. So I know for a fact that there will never be more, when it's showing the different choices for alignment, there'll never be more than pictures 10 through 19 for numbers. So that's why, at least the way I numbered them. So that's why it's just erasing, this script is erasing those. Already talked about that script. Then it's also going to erase the pictures 98 and 99, which are the back button, right? Which, because I said you can't go backwards anymore. So it erases picture 99 and 98, which is essentially the red button with the word back on it. Then right away, it's going to call a common event dice rolls and a common event HP determinations. I'll show you those after we look at this event. What's happening here is it calls the common event for dice rolls. This determines the attributes, right? Those 6 attributes: strength, intelligence, wisdom, constitution, dexterity, charisma. It's also going to establish AC, because AC, your armor class, is influenced by your dexterity. And it's going to call the HP, hit point determination. And this is going to figure out how many hit points the character has initially, and then also what is the maximum amount of hit points they can have, because it has to establish a maximum as well. All right. So that's what these two common events are going to do. They run right early because we need variable updates to display. Okay, so it calls 2 common events. Now, what's happening next? Show first 3 default portraits and the left and right navigation arrows and make them all selectable. So show picture 11 is just an asset that looks like an arrow pointing to the left, and then the button picture to make it clickable. 392, CC Portrait left. Then show picture 12, arrow right, so it's just an arrow asset, and then make it clickable. 391, CC Portrait right. Okay, and I actually had these backwards originally. So when I was clicking on the arrows, the portraits were scrolling the opposite direction that I wanted. So I had to. It confused me for a little bit. I had to fix it. But this is just showing those arrows on the screen and making them clickable. Now, what are these 3 things doing? Okay, so this is the script for show picture. I've highlighted this in previous tutorials, not in this tutorial like the Eye of the Beholder, but in other tutorials I've made, because I do a lot of show pictures. So just like this show picture, this is an event command. This is a script that does the exact same thing as this, except it lets you use variables in place of things like the picture number, the picture name, the X and Y, the width and height, all that stuff, right? So and the reason I'm doing this is because if we're using a variable to show a picture, then it's really easy to just increase or decrease that variable, and it will show the next picture in line. So remember how up here the pictures were 1, 2, and 3? So let me show you something. This is picture 13. It's 801, and 801 is a value of 1. So basically what this is saying is variable 801 is 1. This script is saying show the picture with the picture number 13. Show picture ID of 1. It's the number 1. And then the rest of this is where the picture is going to be start from, the X and Y, etc., etc. So let me show you what picture 1 is. So here's image 1, right? I mean, this is the picture number. Picture 1 is my portraits. So picture 2, picture 3, picture 4, picture 5, picture 6. I named them this way because by doing it this way, when the variable is 1, this picture shows. If I increase the variable by 1, then this picture shows. Increase it again, this picture shows. If I decrease it, this one, and then this one. And then all you have to do is account for looping. So if you're from 1, if you're at 1 and you decrease it, it has to jump down to 32. And if you're at 32 and you increase it, it has to go back to 1. This is why I did this, and it is very, very efficient. Okay, so that's what's going to end up happening when we are changing or scrolling through our portraits. Okay, so again, this is just a script which is essentially doing the event command show picture, and it's using a variable as the picture ID. Okay, and then there's 3 of those because there's 3 pictures. So here's picture 13, picture 14, picture 15. It's variable 801, 802, 803, which is picture 1, which is picture ID 1, 2, and 3. And those are the first 2 portraits that I have that can be selected. So those are being displayed on the screen, and they're being made clickable with the button picture event. Okay? All right, so now show values for race, class, attributes, armor class, hit points, and level. Show bio information for CC1 bucks. Now, the rest of this event is broken up into 4 pieces. The first one is if they clicked on the first portrait box, CC box 1. So all of this is showing information if they're creating the first party member. Then it gets repeated for the second character. And then it gets repeated for the third. And then it gets repeated again for the fourth. So once you create the CC1, right, once you do this one, you can copy and paste it, and then you just have to change a bunch of things. You're going to end up changing variables. You're going to end up, so you end up changing a lot of variables, right? You end up changing a lot of switches, right? You end up changing a lot of switches. And and then that's mostly it. It's variables and switches. There's quite a few that you have to update though. Okay, so if CC box 1 is on, the switch is on, then this is just a reminder of the variables that are being used. Race for CC box 1 is 741. That's the variable. That's what's storing the string for the race that you picked, like human, elf, half-elf. Class is variable 746, right? Attributes are variables 754 to 759. Armor class is variable 781. Hit points is variable 786. And then level is variable 791. That's single class. And then if it's multiple classes, then it's also variables 815 through 817. Okay? So that's just information to know what we're working with. So now, first thing it does, it's going to use the text picture plugin to show the value of variable 741, which is the race. So it just prints the string on the screen that is that you saved when you selected race, right? Human, elf, half elf, gnome, whatever. Then it's going to show the variable, the value of the variable 746, which is the class. So the string that's stored in there, fighter, cleric, mage, fighter, cleric, whatever. Okay, so it shows those two things. Then we have to have some conditional branch to check if the additional strength bonus value needs to be displayed for fighter type classes with an A, it should be an A with a strength with a STR of 18. So I explained this in one of the previous parts. We have a switch STR bonus. Okay, so this is what's happening here, and you're going to see this repeated a bunch. If CC1 STR strength, so if character 1, if the strength is 18, that means they could have a strength bonus, right? It depends on their class, if they're a fighter class. So the next thing it does, so this is the little conditional branch with an else. The next thing it checks is, well, is the STR bonus switch on? Remember, that gets turned on when we're selecting classes. Okay, so if you pick a fighter type class, the STR bonus gets turned on. So if CC1 STR strength, if that variable is 18, then it's going to check if the STR bonus switch is on, then do this, else, meaning the STR bonus is off, then do this. And the only difference here is that if the STR bonus is on, it's going to display the text STR and then the value of variable 754 and the value of variable 846, which if we go back up here, 754 is, I don't have it hinted up here, do I? So what I would have to do, these are basically, this is the attribute for strength, 754 is strength, and 846 is the bonus variable. So if I couldn't remember that, I'm going to remember these, 754, 846. So, control variable, 754, CC1 strength, and then 846 CC1 bonus display. Okay, so we haven't gone through the common event for dice rolls yet, but in the dice roll event, it's going to set if there's a bonus to display, it's going to set it there. It's going to give a value to that variable, and it's going to do the same thing for CC1 strength. Okay? So basically, these two variable values are being determined in the dice rolls. So if the STR bonus is off, then it's just going to show the variable for strength, right? So it's going to be from like maybe 3 to 17, okay? Or 3 to 18 if it's a non-fighter character. It can be just a straight 18. So this else branch goes with this, right? So if CC1 strength is equal to 18, then do this, right, which includes a conditional branch. Else, otherwise, if CC1 strength is not equal to 18, then just straight up show the value of the variable for CC1 strength. Okay, just use text str and then show the value of the variable. Okay, that's what this is doing. All right, and then once that's taken care of, right, because the only thing that's weird here is you got to account for if there's a strength bonus, and you have to be able to display it. The rest of these are just using the text picture to show the abbreviation INT for intelligence, and then the value of the variable for CC1 intelligence, WIS for wisdom, the value of the variable 756, which is storing the value for wisdom. Same thing with dexterity, constitution, charisma, armor class, right? variable 781, and then HP is 786. Okay, so again, these are all being set by this dice rolls common event, right? And which already ran. It ran earlier in this event. So these values are already set and they're just being displayed now. Okay? Then after it shows, right, if we go back up here, it showed the race, it showed the class, it then shows the strength, and then it shows the other 5 attributes. It shows armor class and hit points. Then it has to show level. And this is where those multi-class switches come in. So first conditional branch. And remember, all of these are under the conditional branch for CC1 box, right? If you clicked on the first character box. If multi-class is on, so remember this was turned on when we selected a class that has more than one class to it. So first conditional, right? If the multi-class switch is on. And it also has an else branch. So if multi-class switch is on, you need to check to see if it's also a triple class character. So let's talk about this else branch first. If multi-class switch is on, right, you're going to do this. If it's off, you're going to do the else branch. That just means it's a single class character, fighter, cleric, mage, thief, whatever. So you're just going to show the variable for level. Okay? And that's it. Now up here is the other conditional branch that says, okay, if multi-class switches on, check in a nested conditional branch if MC3, multi-class 3 switches on. If it is, then you need to show the text picture LVL for level, and then the value of variable 815, 816, and 817, because that's what's being stored, right? When these things are happening, the dice rolls and hit point information, and you're going to show it. Else, meaning MC3 is off, you're going to show 2 levels, right? LVL for level, 815, 816. Okay? So if multi-class switch is on, but MC3 is off, you show 2 levels, right? If multi-class switch is on and MC3 is on, you show the 3 of them. Okay? So that's what this is doing here. All right? Now, the good part is the rest of these are all just copy and paste, and all you have to do is change the variables and some of the conditional branches. So all up here was CC box 1. If CC box 2 is on, right? And remember, only one box can be turned on at a time. So if this is running, once it finishes, sure, it's going to check the rest of these, but none of the switches are going to be on, and it'll just end. So you can copy and paste this, and then change it to if CC box 2 is on, if that switch is on. This is just updating the variables, right? So now race is going to be 742 instead of 741. Class is going to be 747 instead of 746. Okay, so it's just updating those. It's going to still show, this is just copy and pasted with changing the variables, right? This is just copy and pasted, of course, and you're changing this to CC2 strength. This is the same. The bonus is the same. The switch is the same. You have to update the variables here, and update the variable here, and update the variable here. The rest of these are all the same except you're updating the variable. So the picture numbers stay the same. The text INT WIS stays the same, but you're updating the variable value. So it's for character 2 instead of character 1, right? So this is CC2 and INT instead of CC1 INT. And then this is the same, right? This doesn't have to be updated. This doesn't have to be updated. You just have to update your variables, right? Yes, that's right. 818, 819, 820. Yeah, 815, 816, 817. Yes, that's right. So you have each portrait box has its own. Each portrait box has its own set of variables. Okay, so you update your variables, update your variables, update your variables, and you're done. And so you're going to repeat that 2 more times. Okay, so you copy and paste, change your conditional branch to if CC box 3 is on. This is just a comment that's showing which variables you're going to use for CC character 3. This is the same, you're just updating your variables. This is the same, you're just updating this switch, and then these variables. And then these are all the same, you're just updating your variables, right? You're changing which variable you're using. That's what I mean when I say update. And then this is the same. You're not changing this conditional branch. You're not changing this conditional branch. You're just changing which variables you're using. And then last is CC box 4. Again, you just change the copy and paste, change your conditional branch to CC box 4 switch. These are changing the variables, right? Update your variable, update your variable, update your switch, update your variables. These are all the same except you're updating your variables. This is the same except you're updating your variables. And then it's done. So the hardest part with this one is setting up the first you get this first part set up here with the portraits and the arrows and get them displayed. Then once you get the first portrait box accounted for, it's just a simple matter of copying it, pasting it below, and then you just have to make sure that you are updating the conditional branch switch and all the variables, right? And this is where you can make mistakes, because when I was doing it, I thought I was being careful, and I missed changing one of the variables, or I missed changing one of the conditional branch switches, and that will just lead to mistakes. And so in the very first tutorial, part 1, I went over the variables that we were using. So I'll just show you again where you had to have those set up. And then we'll be done with this one. So back here, this is what we're talking about. So CC1, strength, intelligence, wisdom, dexterity, constitution, charisma. CC2, same attributes. CC3, same attributes. CC4, same attributes. So these are the variables that you have to swap out when you're making that event. All right, and we're going to see the same thing with there's the armor class, right? So CC 1, 2, 3, and 4 AC, CC 1, 2, 3, and 4 HP, CC 1, 2, 3, and 4 level. Okay, and then you already saw the multi-class. So CC1 multi-class level 1, level 2, level 3. CC2 multi-class level 1, level 2, level 3, and towards to the end. Okay, so again, just make sure that you have set up your variables and that you are changing them in the appropriate spots. And then the next video that the next part of the tutorial I'll make, I will go over the dice rolls and the HP determination, which is what is feeding those variable values. Okay, so the attributes, the armor class, the hit points, the levels, those are all being set up. The variables are getting their values in these 2 common events, dice rolls and HP determination. Okay, and so I'll do that next time. All right, well, hopefully that wasn't too confusing. This isn't terribly complicated, but you do have to be very careful when you're copy and pasting things to make sure you're actually using the right variables for the right character selection, right, that you're doing. So CC box 1, CC box 2, CC box 3, and CC box 4. All right. Well, again, I hope this is helpful. I won't make another video today. Hopefully I'll do one tomorrow, and I'll be able to explain the dice rolls and the HP determination, because those are actually pretty lengthy common events. And we'll just keep moving forward. Again, hopefully this is helpful to folks. If you do have questions, don't hesitate to leave a comment. If I'm not being sufficiently clear, go ahead and leave a comment and let me know, and I'll try to either change the way I'm doing it, or I'll try to answer your question in the comments. And so in the meantime, folks, I hope you're having a great new year. Happy gaming, happy game developing. Hope you're having a great time with using RPG Maker and making games. And I will talk to everyone later. All right, bye.